Okay, great. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for your patience. We can get started now. We just want to say congratulations on getting to this point. You've gotten all your lower division, I'm assuming if you're here, you've gotten all your lower division mostly finished. You've worked hard and you're ready to put a portfolio of work together. So what we're going to do today is go through all of the details of the process of applying for the BFA. Laura, do you want to take it from here?
Sure.
Do you want me to put a link to the BFA apply page in the chat?
Yep.
Okay.
Got a little sidekick in the background, so you might hear some chitter chatter back there.
Can we do introduce ourselves first before we continue?
Good idea.
All right, Martine, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hey, there you go. I'm Martin Valencia. This year I'll be starting taking over the illustration track. So I've been here, this is gonna be my 20th year at Fresno State. That's scary. I used to be the young one, I'm the senior, so. Hope to see you guys soon.
Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, Rusty, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Rusty Robinson. I teach in the interactive and multimedia track, and you might have me for GD50, beginning web design. And I've been here, oh my gosh, 9 years, I believe. So going on a decade.
And Virginia, would you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Virginia Patterson. I'm an assistant professor in mostly the graphic design track, but I recognize a lot of your names and faces from GD42, which I will likely continue to teach. And it is my first year here.
And Jasmine.
Hello, I hope there isn't feedback because we are displaying, but my name is Jasmine Rodriguez. I am the typography professor. Specifically, I also teach on the graphic design track, which means I'm currently teaching 42, which I don't always do, but you might have me for that. You, in terms of who is with me, has me for 41. And then in general, some upper division courses in the graphic design track. This is my third year here.
Thank you. And I'm Dr. Laura Huizinga, and I also teach in the interactive multimedia track. This is my 6th year here at Fresno State. And I teach mostly the upper division interactive multimedia classes. Although GD 142 is a class that the graphic design track and the illustration track also have with me. So I have everybody from all the tracks at some point. All right. Let me go ahead and Rusty, can you enable screen share and I'll share that slideshow?
Yes, yes. Okay, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, is everyone able to see the slides outside of the slideshow thing? Okay, perfect. All right, so applying to the graphic design BFA. For your lower division, a lot of you have seen this roadmap already. And when you start to apply for the graphic design BFA, in theory, that means you have completed or are in the process of completing this semester all of these classes. Now, some of you may have one, possibly two classes that you haven't finished yet. That means you still can apply, but you will still need to take those classes. So let's say you hadn't taken one of the 2D or 3D dimensional, it's all right. You can go back and take those still. Let's say that you want to apply for the illustration track, but you haven't taken GD50 yet. That's okay. You can still apply for the illustration track and you'll just take GD50 later. So if you're missing 1 or 2 classes, it's not the end of the world. We can work through that. But the goal is that you've taken all of the lower division. If you're missing more than 2 classes, you might need to wait another year, but talk to one of us and we can look at it, okay? All right, so the BFA, we have 3 tracks. And it's a little misleading, right? Because it's the graphic design BFA, and then we have a track called graphic design, and then we have a track called illustration and interactive multimedia. It's all the graphic design BFA, all 3 tracks. All 3 tracks are considered part of the graphic design BFA. And then inside that umbrella of the BFA, right, the Bachelor of Fine Arts, we have these 3 specialization tracks. When you pick one of these tracks, that does not mean that you're not allowed to take the other classes. You can still take some of the other classes, but you'll be taking your classes as the priority. And then if there's extra space in a different track, you're able to take those classes as well. Especially if you've finished a lot of your general education courses in the roadmap, then there's space for you to take additional classes. Okay, so don't feel like you're locking yourself in to Foreverland once you've picked a track. Now, to go ahead and apply, we have a website that Rusty has set up for the application process. So I sent a link in the chat, but we're gonna go just pop over to that really quick and walk through this. So this application page gives you all the information about the application process. Essentially, what you're doing is you're putting together a PDF of work that you have completed in all of the classes that you have taken so far here at Fresno State, design classes, not all of the classes, but your design classes from your lower division. And then there's also room for personal projects. If you have work that you've maybe you designed a t-shirt for a group, or you really like making stickers and you've got a bunch of stickers that you've made, there's room for different designs that you've done outside of school in the portfolio as well. Let's see, especially for like illustration students, if you have illustrations that you've worked on outside of class, this is a great time to showcase those. If you happen to have an internship and you've done work at an internship, you can also include that work as long as it's all right with your employer. And then let's see here. So the application process, the deadline is Monday, April 4th. Okay, so that's really important. Make sure that you have that deadline down. This is the deadline for turning everything in. When you apply, you're asked for a first and second choice. If you have your heart 100% set on one track, then don't put a second choice, okay? If you put a second choice, that means you are just as willing to participate in that track as your first choice, okay? Sometimes when we go through as a faculty, we go through and look at the work, we may feel that a student is better fitted for a different track. And then we will talk to you individually about that, about some of the pros of maybe going to a different track than you initially were interested in. For the digital portfolio, you're going to gather work from GD 150, or sorry, GD 35, 37, 39, 41. Try and put a minimum of 2 examples in there, and 42, minimum of 2 examples, GD 50 and GD 60. You're going to be saving this as a PDF. And there's even a template here that you can use and customize. You can have up to 6 other examples that you'll submit. Again, those can be those personal projects. Hold on one second. Uh-oh. Okay, so those personal projects can be included in that personal work section, up to 6 pieces. For each work, you're going to want to include a title and a caption and describe the piece briefly for the medium. And then the next, so that's the PDF portion. And then the other 2 important portions are the application letter. The application letter is the 1-page letter where you talk about why you want to be in that track. You can highlight some of your previous achievements, points of view, your career goals, right? So why do you want to get a BFA? Why are you interested in the specific track, and where do you see it taking you for your future career? Obviously, you don't have to like fully know the future, right? But think about, why am I applying to this track? What about it interests me? And then your unofficial transcript. So when you log on to your My Fresno State, you can access your unofficial transcripts, and you'll be able to download those and upload a PDF of them here for us. Okay, so the review process, the committee, which is the graphic design faculty, the tenure track faculty, tenure track faculty, we will review your portfolios, your application letters, and your transcripts. And then we will, we review them to make sure that we feel that you're ready to go on in the track that you've chosen. And again, like I said, occasionally we may feel that a student is better suited to a different track, and then we'll talk to you individually if that happens. Unless you've chosen it as a second choice, and then we won't necessarily have a conversation about it. Once we've got everything evaluated, we will announce those selections. And let's see, the Friday, the 8th is when we'll be starting to make those announcements of April. Once we have made that announcement, we'll be setting up different meetings for each of the tracks to kind of go over in a little more detail the specific tracks and get you to register for classes for the fall. If for some reason you were not selected to go into the BFA program, then we also have the BA in integrated design, which allows a lot of flexibility, and you can take a lot of the BFA classes inside the BA in integrated design as well. So if for some reason you were not selected to go into the BFA, there is a continued path, and it does offer a lot of the same design classes. It's just a different roadmap. Okay, and then here is where you will click to submit your application. And it's a Google form, correct, Rusty?
Yes.
Yes, so it'll take you to a Google form where you will upload, just click on it, where you upload that information. And it's even got autosave, so that's nice, right? So you can put your student information, your advisor, which track, if you have a second choice, you will upload the PDF of your portfolio, and you will upload your transcript. Let's see. Rusty, is there a spot for the cover letter?
The cover letter should be page 1 of your portfolio PDF.
Correct. Yeah. Excuse me. I forgot about that. Yeah. So that'll be included in the PDF. Okay. Any questions so far on the application process?
For our graphic work, should it be displayed in mockups?
That's
Or
a great
just the work
question.
itself?
There is not an obligation for you to put it in a mockup, but if you would like to, you're welcome to.
Okay, awesome.
Martine, did you have something else you wanted to say on that? Just agree.
No, I would just like to see the projects in the courses more than a mock-up at this time, you know.
Sure, yeah, so just making sure that if it is in a mock-up, that the project itself is very clearly delineated.
Okay, for sure.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Laura,
Yeah,
can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't have a certain advisor on my account, so I don't know who I would choose for my application.
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat your question?
Okay, so for when we choose an advisor, like who our advisor is, in my account, it doesn't show anybody as my advisor. It just says Arts and Humanities Advising Center.
Okay, so you can talk to any of us about your graphic design advising. And if you want us to go over your degree progress report to see if you're ready to apply, we can do that. So just contact either Rusty, Virginia, Martine, Jasmine, or myself.
And as far as the application, I guess you can just pick someone so that you can get through the form.
And then once you have gone into one of the BFA tracks, you'll be assigned one of us from that track as an advisor.
I just
thank
wanted,
you.
I wanted to add one more thing. In your portfolio, when it comes time to show your work from GD50 web design, what you should have in there are screenshots of the website you have created and a link.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. And if any of you have personal projects that maybe include, video or motion graphics of some sort, or any sort of interactive work that doesn't necessarily lend itself as easily to print as printed content, you can include photographs, or like if it's a motion graphic, multiple stills, so that you can kind of see evidence of that full motion graphic, and then include a link or a QR code if you prefer.
Laura, I have one question, just because it's been asked to me, so I'll ask it in case anyone has this question. For the minimum 2 examples of GD60, if a student has not yet taken GD60, do they need to make any note of that within the portfolio, or do they just select other work from other classes?
Right, so in their cover letter, they might mention, I haven't taken GD60 yet, I'm planning on taking, and then they can choose other work. Thank you, that's an excellent question. So the same, if there's any specific, like if you hadn't taken GD50 yet, you would do the same.
Excuse me, I have a similar question. I'm in GD50 now.
Mhm.
Would I still submit the work I think's okay, or should I just do the same thing you just explained?
Yes, submit what work you have that you'd like to share. And because that's very common, most of you are applying while you are still taking either 4250 or 60 or all of them, right? So whatever work you have completed so far, you'll pull from that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. Yeah, and one of the reasons we require work from all the previous classes, right, is to also show your growth, right? So we can see you came in as a designer and your work in GD50, or I'm sorry, your work in GD35, are you showing improvement to when you get some of the other classes, right? So it's not just about the work itself at every stage, but how is that work growing and changing as well? Excellent. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is the artist statement the same thing as the letter that we have to write, or no?
Sorry, Rusty, could you clarify that? Do we have an artist
We-
statement?
We don't actually require a specific artist statement. Your cover letter can be that. You can incorporate language like that into your cover letter, but you don't have to submit a specific artist statement. It should just be your cover letter.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Jacob, did you have a question?
Yes. So in GD50, for like the final project, it was like multiple people doing the project. And so like, would you say like which page of the project you worked on?
Yes, that's exactly right. You would say, you would mention that this is a group project and then highlight what you worked on the most or what you contributed to the most.
Right. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other
quick question.
questions?
From 41, as well as just to clarify for everyone else, do you want to mention if they can revise work?
Yeah, I mean, you can revise work. And also, but consider the fact that you don't need to revise work, okay? If there's something in particular that you're like, oh, I really love this piece, but I want to tweak this one thing, that's fine. You can do that. But don't feel like you have to go back to everything and redo it, okay? Because again, the point of the portfolio through all those classes is to see the change and the growth. However, if you've got a piece from 35 and you really love it, but you realize that you had a widow, or you realize that there was something about the tracking of your typography that is just now atrocious to you, you can go in and tweak that, but don't feel like you have to redo everything, okay? Great question.
I have
Yeah.
a question. I was just wondering, so for each work that you put into your portfolio, do you want us to specify exactly which class it came from in the description?
Yes, in the description, let's see, on the website here, I think I've got Zoom things in front of my screen. Where was that part? Here we go. What the piece was created for. So you'll specify which class it came from there, or if it was an independent project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and it has to be, there's 10 pieces that have to be from Fresno State, and the 6 other ones can be outside of Fresno State or personal projects.
Correct. Right. So if anyone was attending a community college previously and you have work from a community college, that can be included in that personal project section.
Okay, do you have to specify the classes for that as well, or?
Not necessarily, you can, but yeah, we just need the clarification for the Fresno State classes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hey, Laura, can you talk a little bit about the sizes of the images and the size of the final file? Because we've been getting some huge files in regards to memory size.
Sure, yeah. So when you're putting your portfolio together, we will be viewing this digitally, right? We're not going to be printing it out. What that means is that when you're going to create, you're putting the images into your PDF, make sure that the size of the images that you're going with, like 150 DPI and not 300 DPI. And try and make sure that the image is not a massively large size, so that then when it's down on the screen, it still has that. I'm sorry, hold on. Rusty, can you talk about the file size for a second?
Yeah, think of it as you want something comparable to a screenshot. So all we're going to see are the pixels on the screen. So I would say for each piece you put in there, maximum 2 megabytes for each image. One would probably be fine. I hope that's helpful. There's also a way in, if you open up your final portfolio into Acrobat, you can go through file save as, I believe, and somewhere there in there is an option to save as a reduced size PDF, and that could be really helpful for bringing the file size down.
Can I add one more thing, Rusty?
Yeah.
In both InDesign and Illustrator too, if that's where you're creating your file, when you do save as or export for your PDF, you'll have options that say like high quality print, X1A. There's a smallest file size. That's a good starting point. And then you might also do what Rusty just described and open it in PDF and do save as reduced file size.
Those files can quickly balloon out of control if we're not careful. So make sure you check that. Let's go back to the presentation here, and I have a couple examples of some work. Oops. So this is from the graphic design track. These are all pieces from different projects inside the graphic design track. And then some work from the illustration track. And some work from the interactive multimedia track. And just very briefly, I'll talk a little bit about what the interactive multimedia track is, and then I'll also turn it over so everyone else can talk about the other tracks as well. But the interactive multimedia track is, it does incorporate coding and the creation of content through code, but it is not solely about that. So if you're interested in technology, but you're maybe not interested in having to code everything for all of your projects, don't write off the interactive track, because we do a lot of different things, and we really focus on human-centered design, the user experience. There's a class for motion graphics, for designing for augmented, virtual, and extended reality. Designing for the web. We do use basic front-end coding, as well as there's a class where you work with object-oriented programming using P5, which is derived from processing. And that was a object-oriented language created for artists. So you can do a lot with really interesting like generative artwork. So I'm not going to show all of the interactive slides, but I'll show a couple. Some of you may have seen these before from other presentations. Okay, so you saw a little app design, you saw augmented reality, you saw the physical design. You know, with augmented reality, a lot of times there's a physical artifact or printed design content that has to happen that the digital layer is added to. There's some motion graphics in there and some virtual reality. So I'm going to turn it back over. Virginia and Jasmine, would you like to talk about the graphic design track?
Sure. Jasmine, do you want to start off?
Sure, I can specify in terms of what I teach. So in my 170, 171, those are typography courses. They are the upper division typography courses. Within those, I try to incorporate a wide array of type, whether you're working with designing a typeface, digital hand lettering, kinetic type, which is moving type. So there's a little bit of animation within that, advertisement design. And then 175, you will kind of work with restaurant design, album design. I try to bring in artificial reality in some posters, both in 175 as well as the type courses. Yeah, I don't know if Virginia, do you want to specify on packaging?
Sure. Yeah, I teach packaging design, which is an upper division course in your final year, in which you'll learn to design for three-dimensional spaces and structures. And we do quite a bit of printing and prototyping in that class, but you'll have a good understanding of designing for packaging. And then I also teach graphic systems, where we look at both identities, brand identity systems, but also different ways in which users engage with graphic systems and the sort of implications those can have in different contexts, whether it's an environment, which I think looks like Laura's about to click on, whether it's environmental and has to do with, wayfinding or how we navigate spaces, or even, smaller objects and artifacts, how we present the information in graphic form. And then also in your upper division courses within graphic design, you'll take an advertising class in which you'll design for sort of real world scenarios with various prompts. And at the very end, and this is for all tracks, I won't speak to this in great detail, but you'll have sort of a professional practices class and portfolio development where you bring everything together at the very end in preparation for the final show. So there is some, I think Jasmine and I both try to weave in elements of interactive design, not as sophisticated as the interactive multimedia track. But there is, I think it's safe to say, as graphic designers in any track, you can anticipate working in a digital realm for sure, regardless, even if you go into print design. So that's sort of woven into the graphic design track as well.
Martine, would you talk a little bit about the illustration track?
Sure. In regards to the illustration, when we're talking about illustration, we're talking about just storytelling through images, right? So this is a field that it takes into consideration your fine arts into a commercial realm. So what we do here is within the courses is lead you through a set of courses that at the end would guide you to have a style or technique that you can present to a prospective client. Or if you're a freelancer, this is what your portfolio is going to take a look at and shape to. So at the end, what I'm trying to refine this area into more what we call commercial illustration, one side, and the other side into the character development, game industry development, into graphic novels. So at the end, you'll decide what direction you want to implement your illustration style and technique. So if you could see what Laura is showing you is a couple illustrators that graduated in the past few years. Laura, can I show them what I'm trying to do in regards to the commercial illustration side? Let me just share a file. It says disable participant screen sharing. I need to share a file, Laura. I don't know if I can.
I don't have control of
Laura, you should be host.
I'm host now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's fine.
There you go.
Thank you. So I show you a couple of images from a couple of illustrators. So this is more towards the character development, from Lindsay. She graduated a few years ago. And I'll go fast because we're running out of time here. Then I'll show you the one from the commercial aspect, right? So what we're trying to build this again, at the end, you have a solid foundation, not only in the digital realm of digital illustration, but also the fine arts, right? The typical traditional methods. So at the end, you have a solid portfolio. In what direction, that's up to you. Thank you.
And if any of you have any questions or you know what you're interested in, but you're not 100% sure which track to choose, please do reach out to any of us and we can help you talk through different ideas that you have or which track you think you'd fit best in. Okay, and actually I'm going to go ahead and add my email just in the chat here, just in case. Does anyone else have any questions that they've thought of?
Can I make an announcement when it comes to the graphic design club and the workshops that they will be holding?
Yes, please.
So the graphic design club will be holding workshops. They will be going over how to compile your work for the portfolio. As a reminder, there is a template, so you don't have to necessarily follow that, but they do give suggestions. And this is coming from students that have already been placed in the tracks. And additionally to that, they will be talking about their experience within the 3 tracks. So you'll have a student perspective outside of just what we tell you of what you should expect. I'll put them in the chat as well. But the first one will be March 23rd, 12 to 1 p.m. in IT 298. That will replace a graphic design club meeting. And then there will be a virtual session to be determined during the week of March 21st through the 25th. It is planned for an evening session. So I can kind of share that more with everyone else here. And then if you follow the Graphic Design Club on various social media, whether it be Instagram or join the Discord, that's also a great way to be in the loop within that. And then I'll, by the way, for Martin and Laura, I'll make sure that they know how to compress the files and make the smallest files possible.
Yes, and if you're not following the club already on Discord, make sure to do that because there's a lot of great information and updates there as well. All right, any other questions? Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up then. So as far as the application process goes, look over the website and contact any of us if you have questions or concerns, or you just want to, go over some stuff. And then also reach out to the students that are in the graphic design club, because they're in all the different tracks. Even students that are maybe in like a specific track might have taken classes in different tracks, so they can talk to you a little bit about their experiences. Excellent. Okay, one last chance. Any questions? We're good? Okay. And then does any of the faculty have anything else they would like to add? Okay, well, thank you all so much.
Really quickly,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead. Yeah.
Just a quick announcement just on what the Graphic Design Club is up to. They will be at Art Hop tomorrow. Check out the Instagram post if they have that, because they have a very specific location. They'll be selling buttons, prints, stickers from 5 to 8 p.m.
Wow. Some really cool stuff I saw in the Discord, some of their stickers and buttons. So go check them out. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap up for today then. And we're very excited to have you apply. We're really looking forward to seeing your portfolios. And we can't wait to welcome you into the respective tracks. Okay, well, have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.